let's talk about some of these jobs where the coach is on the hot seat. They may open. And I think we need to look at it using the 5 stages of grief, because I think that's kind of where, coaches are in different places. Some coaches kind of understand what's going on. Some coaches are still fighting it. So
the stages of grief are from the fan standpoint, right?
No, from the coach himself.
Okay.
Yeah. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And they all go through all of them. And so we're going to watch a couple coaches, 3 coaches.
And then we're going to try to identify what stage of grief
we're going to figure out what stage of grief they're in. So let us start with Wisconsin coach Luke Fickell. So Wisconsin just lost 37-0 to Iowa. And it's not just that they lost to Iowa. It's that they lost 37-0 to Iowa after spending the entire offseason,
the push-ups thing,
focusing on this game. They gave up 42 points to Iowa last year. So they had workouts where there were things that they had to do, sets of 42 reps, to remind them that they never were going to do that against Iowa again. They were never going to lay another egg against Iowa. And they were even worse this year against Iowa. And that is the problem. Luke Fickell took over a program from Paul Chryst that had gotten worse. Paul Chryst had been a very good head coach, and then things started to slide. The recruiting was not going well. The talent was not getting better. And so you felt like Wisconsin had gone from one of the best programs in the Big Ten to a mediocre program. The idea behind hiring Luke Fickell was he will bring them back to being one of the best programs in the Big Ten. They have gotten worse every single year under Luke Fickell. After the first year, I said, Ari, it didn't seem like they added much talent. Why don't they just go buy better players? They didn't. After the second year, Ari, it doesn't seem like they've added much talent. Why don't they just go buy better players? They didn't. And now here they are. And so Luke Fickell, after the Iowa game, got asked a very difficult question that, bless this reporter, because that's the question every fan wanted answered. Here's his answer.
Luke, this might be an unfair question right now, but do you think you guys are in a better position now as a program than when you took over?
It's in a better position. No, I mean, right this second, we're not feeling real good. I could dig deep into it. I could say that I think, incrementally we've gotten better talent in some ways. It's tough to evaluate right now. I think the deficiencies, the injuries, and I'm not making excuses, but where we are on the offensive line and where we are at quarterback, it make it really difficult to answer that question, I think, in the best way possible. But I do believe as we started, fall camp, I would tell you that we were in a better place. And I think incrementally we had gotten better in most positions. And I would also tell you that I think a lot of other people have gotten incrementally a hell of a lot better as well. And so what that has done is put us still in the position where, no, we're not better than most of the people or maybe anybody right now that we're playing.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, or acceptance. Where is Luke Fickell?
Depression.
Exactly. He is in depression right now. He is looking at this. And the last part of the answer where he talks about how everybody else got better too, like he's probably talking about Indiana in the Big Ten, but it's not just Indiana, because Minnesota got better. Iowa got better. Iowa's a better team now than it was 2 years ago. Nebraska's better than it was 2 years ago.
And it's an interesting concept too, because when you talk about other teams getting better, that doesn't mean that your place on the totem pole changes. So if Indiana gets better, you should still be getting better commensurate or more effectively than they are.
And the truth of it is Wisconsin has not gotten any better. They've gotten worse. So there's one pack with 6 cards in it. On average, 2 autographs per one of these packs.
Be careful with this.
Okay, yes. I be careful touching. Be careful ripping. I'm making Ari nervous right now. He's.
I mean, this is a pretty expensive box. So
okay, here we go. Here we go. We got Luke McCaffrey rookie card. We love Luke McCaffrey.
Luke. He scored last night.
Luke. Yeah, they won too. Or no, they lost. The Bears won. Kyler Murray. I don't know how excited everybody's about him. Trey Benson.
That's numbered.
We got a Roman Wilson autograph. Yeah, Trey Benson, number 2.
It's on the back.
Number 2.
99.
99. All right. Roman Wilson auto. Fabian Lovett auto. Loved him at Florida State. Optic Illusion, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that's probably our best one.
Yeah, Trey Benson was the starting running back there for a minute there when James Conner got injured, and then he got injured too. But yeah, Roman Wilson was a receiver that I thought had a real chance of having a pretty good year. They were talking a lot about him in the offseason. I'd hold on to that one.
Well, I'm going to hold on to the Amon-Ra one too.
Yeah.
So visit PaniniAmerica.net to collect your favorite college and NFL stars. They've got those new limited edition Ohio State boxes. We've got a few of those to open over the next few weeks here on the show. So a lot of fun to be had with Panini. Go to PaniniAmerica.net and you can start your collection today.
Well, here's the thing that I asked you in the car yesterday, and I'll ask Wisconsin fans, and like, listen, we are staying on top of more than 130 teams. It's really difficult to do it at times. But what was the single biggest recruiting transfer portal splash that Wisconsin has made since he's been there? Which personnel upgrades that he was referring to in his answer can we specifically point to and say, hey, this was a big deal? Like, and I don't know.
I'll answer for them. There hasn't been one.
So if, you know, and I know like you brought up Will Pauling in the car yesterday.
They got him from Cincinnati.
You know,
they didn't recruit nobody that they've recruited there has become a star. Nobody that they recruited to Wisconsin has become a star.
But they didn't even go out and get players that were stars already,
right?
Which I thought he would be able to do. And I don't know, as we evaluate the job that he's done, it's a little bit more difficult to do it on the surface because there are phone calls that need to be made about, was he given the correct support?
This is the issue. Like there's a chicken egg thing with Fickell that we haven't been able to figure out yet, and I don't think that information is public knowledge yet. So it's hard to judge who's at fault the most here. Like, did Fickell get sold a bill of goods that he was going to be able to have the resources to recruit truly well at Wisconsin? Or did Wisconsin give him the resources and he did not use them properly? Like, we don't know that yet. And I think the answer to that is important, because not so much for Luke Fickell, because I think this has run its course. They're playing Ohio State this week. They have an open date next week. I think this has run its course. I think that you will see a very sad game on Saturday, and then whatever happens, happens.
Did the line move from 27.5 to 25.5?
It did. Well, a little bounce there.
You know, there's a little familiarity there. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Luke Fickell knows Ryan Day very well, understands Ohio State very well.
I don't think that matters.
But it doesn't matter. Ohio State is so much more talented. But that's the question going forward. And Chris McIntosh, the athletic director who hired Luke Fickell, we don't know where his job security is at either. So what happens in the next few weeks will be very telling. Does Wisconsin say, we would like to actually compete in the Big Ten, so we're going to hire a coach and give that person the resources to actually go out and get the talent to be competitive? Again, I'm not sure if Luke Fickell had those resources and didn't use them, or he wasn't given them, but I'm shocked that he would have left Cincinnati without some sort of promise that those resources would be allotted to him.
And it's just kind of a confusing situation, because the way that Wisconsin moved on from Paul Chryst and the timing of that, and then the aggressiveness that they displayed in going out and getting Fickell, would be an implication that they were dedicated and committed to improvement in football. So if they did all those actions and then didn't follow through from an NIL, or didn't follow through from a administrative buy-in to give him the resources internally that he needs, those would be conflicting ideologies.
Why'd you fire Paul Chryst if you were just going to give the next guy the same?
Yeah, like if you're an Uber driver, you don't like trade in your Hyundai Sonata and go buy a 7 Series BMW to do the same thing. Like you need to, you need to
aim a little higher. When
you invest in something, you need to cultivate that investment by further investment. So, it's been there's a lot to discuss too, I think, about fit and about whether what Luke Fickell did best at Cincinnati and during his time as an assistant at Ohio State was transferable to Wisconsin. There's another discussion about whether the skill sets that made him excel at Cincinnati are even relevant anymore in this new era, because he was doing it at a time where recruiting was done a little bit differently. I know, like, towards the tail end of his tenure there, like, NIL was beginning, but he hasn't really existed as a head coach anywhere in this environment, especially one where, you know, like it or not, Wisconsin is still kind of removed geographically from where all the best players in the country play. And I think that there is a factor in that. You know, it's harder to recruit Ohio, which he has a lot of inroads in. It's harder to, you know, and the other thing, Andy, that I said in the car yesterday is that at Cincinnati, you can afford to take a certain type of player and roll the dice. And then if you hit on that player, I'm trying to think of the very small cornerback's name.
Sauce Gardner was a very small cornerback.
There was a really small one, defensive back from Cleveland Glenville, that was really talented. And I can't remember his name, but I know that it's a familiar name. And it was a younger brother, I believe, of an Ohio State football player. But I don't know if you can take that player at Wisconsin, because if you bring somebody in that's that small and it doesn't pan out, then you can't sustain that type of roster hit that maybe you could at Wisconsin. So, yeah.
We'll see what happens with him, but the schedule's brutal from here on out. I think it probably is over after Ohio State. They have an open day. Or they don't have an open day. I misspoke earlier. They're at Oregon next week. They have an open date after Oregon. I guess you could wait until they go to Oregon and do it. But having to play two of the best teams in the country. And then, oh, by the way, they're at Indiana in the middle of November. So it's Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota the rest of the way. I'm not sure Luke Fickell could win another game against this schedule.
Yeah. And we saw this coming a month ago or 2 weeks ago. Like, okay, well, if they can't do this, then look at what they've got left.
We said it before the Maryland game. We said if they lose to Maryland, there's a good chance they're going 2-10. So
yeah, this
is going to be one of the sadder departures and firings. And I don't think there's a chance that he comes back, even though a few weeks ago we were saying maybe the buyout's too high. I think given what we saw with James Franklin, that conversation we had last week with Matt Jones from Kentucky Sports Radio about Mark Stoops' buyout, like, I think all the buyouts are on the table, including this one. And I just don't think you can go in this era with no hope whatsoever. And that is the feeling right now. There is no hope whatsoever, which is why depression is probably the appropriate stage of grief.
Also, the appropriate stage of grief can be read very clearly on his face during that news conference. So.
Yes.